I went from being this skinny, fat, weak, underconfident guy who was obviously drinking way too much, smoking way too much, had no goals and aspirations, who carried a very low self esteem, to fast forward 2 years, where I got into shape, gave up drinking, mastered new skills, did hard things, forged discipline, got strong, graduated with a first class engineering degree, joined an initial stage startup and closed businesses worth 1 million euros, and moved to a different country to further pursue my career. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 biohacks that are going to be your launchpad to the best version of yourself. So let's get straight to it. Alright, so jumping straight into it. The 5-minute rule. What is the 5-minute rule? So this is basically an extension of the 21-day rule that I created for myself. So basically, if you want to establish a behavior as a pattern, you do it for 5 minutes every day, not more, not less, just 5 minutes every day for the next 21 days, right? Now the catch here, the real catch here is there are going to be some days where you want to push past 5 minutes, and there are going to be some days where you don't want to do 5 minutes at all, right? But the catch here is you stick to 5 minutes, and on the 22nd day, the mental friction of you doing that activity, let's say working out, let's say you want to start working out and you want to make this a habit. So if you do this for 21 days, the next 21 days for 5 minutes straight every day, right? So on the 22nd day, what you're going to notice is the mental friction of you pushing through that activity or finding some inspiration and motivation to do it has dissipated. So that is the first biohack, which is the 5-minute rule, which focuses on consistency, and then once you get consistent, you build upon that with intensity, right? So the first 21 days is only about being consistent, and then you can gradually increase the intensity once the mental friction has faded away. Which brings me to my second biohack, which is the 3-day rule. If you want to establish a behavior as a pattern, you have to do it for 3 days straight. On the other hand, if you want to break a behavioral pattern that is become a habit, you do not do it for 3 days straight. So putting this in layman's terms, let's say you want to be consistent around the habit of working out. What you need to do is you need to not skip back to back to back for 3 days. So let's say out of the 7 days in a week, you work out for 4 days. You need to make sure that you're not working out from Monday to Thursday, and then Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays are your rest days. You need to distribute it evenly that you don't miss for 3 days back to back to back. Right? This is again a scientifically proven fact that once you start missing an activity for 3 days straight, the neurological pathways loosen out, right? So you might need a little more inspiration, a little more motivation on the 4th day to go ahead and re-establish that pattern. So that is the second biohack that I would give you, which is the 3-day rule. So on to my second biohack, which is the magical words. Right now, what are the magical words? So this concept is very closely related to the self-image, right? So there is this book that I read, which is called Psycho-Cybernetics, and this is again a very, very highly recommended book off the top by me to anybody who's getting in the self-improvement journey and wants to learn about self-esteem, the self-image. And it is the things that you tell yourself on a daily basis. At the end of the day, the most important conversations are the ones that you have with yourself. So you have to make sure you say the correct things. Say things that make you strong. Which brings me to my next biohack, which is work through bursts of energy, right? So inspiration is perishable. What I mean by that is every time you have inspiration, you want to utilize it as long as you have hold of it, right? So let's say I want to start writing an article, or I want to start recording a video, right? And I'm feeling inspired to actually go and do it. But let's say rather than actually writing the article or making the video, I spend my time in just feeling inspired, just being in the state of feeling inspired by either watching other videos or engaging in content that kind of extends that feeling and gives me that buzz of dopamine, and keeps me in that state. What actually happens is once the inspiration fades away, I'm going to find it way more difficult to go ahead and actually write the post or make the video. And I might need a lot of more inspiration to actually go and do it after that. So another rule that I've kind of navigated through and figured out in this process is every time I feel inspired to do something productive, I wait for 2 seconds and I jump into it and I just start, right? And once I start, I kind of trick my brain into believing the fact that I enjoy doing it, which ultimately results in me accomplishing the task altogether. In hindsight, if you look back at it, if you just jump in, if you just follow the 2-second rule and jump in while you have the inspiration, you end up getting a lot more done in, let's say, days and weeks and months overall, rather than just relying on your inspiration and motivation all the while it lasts. Okay, so this brings me to my next biohack, which is the ecosystem. So I want to use a quote to explain this to you better, right? So this quote that I stumbled upon while reading a blog post, which said, "Show me your friends and I will tell you who you are." And this actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it enough. If you hang around with 4 losers, you're going to be the 5th. Similarly, if you hang around with 5 smart and fit people, you might end up being the 5th. The people you hang around with direct your trajectory as a person. I'll take my own example, which was I always wanted to be someone who was a good communicator and who was fit, right? But then I ended up in circles where there was no drive, there was no ambitions, people were smoking too much, drinking too much. And guess what the byproduct was? It was me being all of those things and straying away from my goals entirely. That is where I started to hack my ecosystem. So I limited access to the people who did not serve me in my journey to become the best version of myself. So I started saying no to a lot of events, I started saying no to a lot of interactions, and I basically moved out from the friend circle, right? It's easy for people to say that for you to be successful, you need to change your ecosystem, and the only thing that you need to do is pivot your friend circle from here to the next best friend circle that you see, but it's usually not that simple. So the first step is you disengaging yourself from all of those interactions or limiting the amount of information that doesn't serve a purpose in your life to the minimum. Then comes the intermediate step of you filling yourself with information that is actually relevant to your trajectory, right? So at the end of the day, the information that you put into your system decide your decisions, which decides your actions, and ultimately your destiny is decided by your actions. So the intermediate step for me was to arm myself with any kind of information, whether it be podcasts, YouTube videos, or reading books that was relevant to my journey, my goals, my purpose, and my aspirations. And this acted as the stepping stone for the third step of you actually pivoting your ecosystem to people who are on the same journey as you, right? To your aspirational self, where you're easily accepted by the people who you actually aspire to be like. So there are 3 fundamental steps that I would like to reiterate. First is disengaging yourself from the situations and circumstances and people that don't serve you. The second is to arm yourself with specific knowledge and information that is very, very relevant to the goals and aspirations that you have. And the third is you build the foundation for the aspirational self-image that you have, and then go into the circles and change the ecosystem altogether. Which actually brings me to conclude my first video, where I share these 5 biohacks. So I think these mental models that I actually figured out through trial and error, let's say somebody would have simplified these biohacks and told me the keys to consistency, the keys to intensity, the keys to self-image, rather than me doing the hard yards, it would have probably saved me years or months of time, to be very honest with you. So at the end of the day, I want you to think about whatever I said in this video and add your own natural tweaks to it, because I really feel that every individual is unique in their approach. Add your own natural tweaks to the stuff that I shared on this video. I really believe that you will start seeing massive improvements in the way you think, in the way you approach your things, and with life in general. So with that, I'm going to conclude this video. If you liked the content in this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making more of these videos from now on, and I'll catch you on the next one.